Falcon fans, Falcon Nation, Dirty Fanatics United coming at you live on a Monday night. It's your boy Chase from Dirty Fanatics United. As always, I'm followed by my co-host Robert, Philip, Cody, and the new guy here, Mr. Rick. Thank you for joining the podcast. Hit the like button, leave a comment, subscribe if you haven't already. We are bringing you Atlanta Falcon content in the offseason. Robert, what's going on, man? We have a lot to chat about today. Obviously, top 10 candidates for our draft billboard. Obviously, some free agencies talks, maybe some Super Bowl matchup conversations. But chat, get at it. Let us know what you want to talk about here in the comment section. Robert, what's going on, brother?
I just finished a typical Monday at work, got through it. Glad to be home. Glad to be on here with you boys talking Falcon football. Just looking forward to the offseason and seeing what comes about.
A lot could happen this offseason, and we're going to break it down here step by step with DFU. So stay tuned and subscribe it. Ring the bell. That way you know every time DFU drops live content, or even if a video or a short comes across your screen, you'll know when DFU drops it. Philip, what's going on, Mr. Avitz? Speaking of Mr. Avitz, we have a new co-host, so we need a new logo. So when you have some off time from cleaning the yard up, I need you to get on that logo for me. Philip, what's going on, man?
Nothing much, apparently cleaning the yard, No, just spent a full weekend of watching some games that just physically made me sick. So, we here today, though. So, we'll see how that turns out. But, just ready for the off season.
Philip, I think the nation got the Super Bowl that nobody asked for unless you were a Kansas City Chief or a Philadelphia Eagle fan.
Let's just put it this way. If I wanted to watch this matchup, I'd have just rewatched 2 years ago.
Yeah, and the unfortunate events that unfolded for the Chiefs and also the Eagles early on in those games. We'll talk about that here soon on the channel. But before we do so, Cody, Mr. Keeler, what's going on, brother? It's been almost a week. I would say right at a week now since the last podcast. It's been, a weekly, not a daily podcast anymore. It's a weekly podcast here. Cody, what's going on, man?
Oh, man, it's just working. So that's all we're going to do. I will tell you all right now, I have not watched a single down of football since I made sure that the Buccaneers got their asses knocked out, because I just flat out don't give a shit. I'll watch the Super Bowl, but I hate who we're going to have to watch.
Yeah, it's tough watching the Chiefs 3 years in a row. Not the Super Bowl I wanted. Rick, what's going on, man? Your busy schedule over that way. How you been doing, brother, since the last time we talked on DFU?
Man, doing good. I watched the games this weekend, and I think I was frustrated to know that the Falcons basically beat the two teams in the Super Bowl if it wasn't for a KP penalty. But I was kind of excited, I'll be honest with you, man. I watched that Ulbrich interview, and I might have to raise my grade a little bit because I like some of the things he said.
And that is a great topic to open the Falcon conversation on, because I watched that as well today on the way home from work, and I must say, Jeff Ulbrich let the people hear what they wanted to hear, and not as well as only coming in with entraves and sayings and statements that to gain a following. But Jeff Ulbrich came in saying, hey, words don't speak. I have to get out on this field. We have to come out every single game and show the defense that we're going to be. He said, even to the stand of saying that Grady Jarrett and A.J. Terrell, when they look at him, they'll see a different coach across from them on that football field. Robert, starting with you, rotating around the table, Jeff Ulbrich's first official interview here in Atlanta. And then also I'll follow this subject up with another question about the interview process. But Robert, to start with you, Jeff Ulbrich's first professional interview here as defensive coordinator in Atlanta. How did that turn out for you, sir? What did you hear from that? What are your takeaways from that interview?
The thing that I really liked was he touched on the fact that, he's grown a lot as a coach. He's not the same coach he was when he was here, 4 years ago. He's just the personal growth and just the excitement that he showed, and he's ready to get to work. And, any free agents that come in, any rookies, and of course, the current players, he is all about development. Mm-hmm. And he stressed that during the interview, and I was really impressed with that. And and you guys know that he wasn't my first choice, but I'm really warming up to him. I really like what I heard from him. I think he's ready to get to work and prove something. And we really need this defense to improve, and I think he's going to be the leader to do it.
Yeah, you look at the linebacker position, a point that you struggled at tremendously pretty much all season, other outside of our guy, Caden Ellis. The only linebacker you really had this whole offseason, J.D. Bertrand, the rookie, starting to come on there towards the end of the season, takes the concussion. He's out a couple of games. So there you don't really know what you have in the young rookie and J.D. Bertrand. So you bring in a guy like Jeff Ulbrich, a guy that's played the linebacker position, somebody that can coach up these young players that you drafted, being that you only hold – as of right now, you only hold 4 picks in this NFL draft. So a lot of finagling, a lot of situations that's got to happen this offseason. And I fully expect Jeff Ulbrich to have a huge say in who we bring in on this defense side of the ball. So I'm excited, Robert, as you stated, just the fact that he brings in a new regime, Jeff Ulbrich, not a 2016 Jeff Ulbrich that the Atlanta Falcons were so worried about. Why are we repeating 2016? Philip, Jeff Ulbrich, your thoughts on the first official interview here from our defensive coordinator, Jeff Ulbrich. What did you get from that? Your takeaways from that interview?
It's just like Robert said, you can just see the growth and where he was and to where he is now. I liked some of the things he said. It's just, I don't know why. It just gave me a little bit of hope. And I don't know. I just liked it. One thing that he said was there is unfinished business here in Atlanta. It just shows that he's here to win again. He won't sit back in Atlanta just like we want it. Mm-hmm. That just says volumes to me itself. I don't know. It's just
it's almost like what Raheem said when Raheem came in. Is like, when I left this team, like all I want to see is Arthur Blank hoist that Lombardi trophy.
Yes,
like
exactly.
that's my ultimate goal, is to see him hold the trophy.
It's just the fact that just making the fans and just the city of Atlanta pop again. That's the feeling that I got from his interview, like what he wants for the expectations for this. And again, it's kind of like a Raheem thing. He wants to earn the respect of everybody else too.
Absolutely.
So that's what I took. Before he could say he's done something good here, he wants to gain respect before jumping to conclusions.
Yeah, well, this is your first official sighting of seeing Jeff Ulbrich be the DC in Atlanta. He never held that official title in his term in Atlanta, and that's what I think Falcon fans should take away from the whole situation. Jeff Ulbrich was handed a team that he did not create. He was handed a defense that he was told to say, hey, let's make it through the rest of the season. We've lost our head coach. You now have to step up into these duties. Your first time in Atlanta taking those duties. So, Cody, coming to you with the question, but before we do so, the Sports Nuts is in the chat where he says, Chase, you just gained 3 new subscribers just now, brother. So let's get it. Shout out to the new subscribers. Please comment. Let me know your name so we can enter you in the raffle for your chance to win a pair of Apple AirPod Pros, courtesy of my guy, Cody Keeler. Sports Nuts, I see your next comment. We're coming to that very shortly. That is our subject topics for today, but we'll go ahead and throw it up. Why not? Chase, Philip, Cody, Robert, Rick, we want Mike Green, Edge from Marshall. Let's get it. A guy named Cody Keeler has a special subject for you tonight, so stay tuned here for DFU. Cody, the comment comes to you, or the question comes to you. First interview, Jeff Ulbrich, your takeaways from his, questioning or answering to his questions here in Atlanta. What do you think? What do you take away from that interview?
Yeah, well, unfortunately, I kept getting interrupted because, apparently people wanted me to work instead of do Falcon stuff. So I got pulled away quite a bit. But, yeah, kind of Robert and Philip's point, what I was able to gather from it was, he's talking about, the growth that he had and, that he's, coming back it's not going to be the same as 2016, and all that, all that wonderful stuff. So, I mean, to me, it's one of those things until I see the product on the field, it's all coach talk until then. And I hate to be like that. I like to be optimistic and stuff like that, but we've been burned so many times as Falcon fans with these retrends and rehires and, come back in the back door because we're buddies and we're friends. And so, I mean, I'm still giving it as it's an okay hire. Still that.
Well, Cody, that was one of my questions. That was actually my question to follow up after Rick was the fact that one of the interviewers asked Ulbrich, what was the process of you being hired in Atlanta? And he said, pretty much as soon as Jimmy Lake was let go, Raheem Morris was on the telephone, called up Jeff Ulbrich and asked him, was he interested in the job in Atlanta? Friendship ties? Question mark. Cody, your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I think that is. I think that's kind of it. But but obviously I don't think Raheem's because I really feel like how this season works out, really hinges on if Coach Raw has a job next season. So I think
not only Coach Raw, Cody,
Yeah,
but the
but
guy
Terry.
that's right above him, Terry, as well,
Yeah.
from the old regime that's still hanging by a nail on the edge of the cliff. That is a very, very particular topic that we could talk about for hours here.
Oh.
Terry Fontenot, what is his future in Atlanta? If this draft class does not hit, if we have a draft class like we had last season,
buddy,
it's over. It's over for Terry.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And I think it's just, I'm sure a lot of it was, hey, I'm familiar, we're friendly, come help me out here. But I think if Terry's smart, and I do think Terry's a smart individual, I don't think he would let somebody be hired that he didn't think could get the job done as well. I mean, unless Raheem Morris is just one hell of a salesman and can, pitch anything. Because you're right. I absolutely think that Terry's job's on the line, depending on how this season, probably not only how this season goes, but how this season starts off. I would not be surprised to see Terry or Coach Raw let go if we start, and don't want to bring this in, to the universe, but if we start 2-4, or if we're 1-5, I don't see why those guys are still around at that point. So. Yeah, at that point you'd have to let him go, especially if your defense looks lackluster.
Can't even think of that.
If your offense isn't clicking, and stuff like that. So,
like you're banking on Zach Robinson to flourish here year 2 in Atlanta. Like that's what you're banking on, and I understand the move because truly, as an OC in the NFL, it takes a year or two to establish that scheme that you want to run, the type of players, the personnel. So I understand the Zach Robinson year 2 move.
Mm-hmm.
But like you said, Cody, if you come out and you are in the flunk with this Zach Robinson offense, then what happens to a team if you're 1-4 or even 1-3 at the early beginning of the season with a team with high expectations in Michael Penix? Rick, your thoughts, man, on Jeff Ulbrich. So we expressed our feelings on how we thought maybe there were some better candidates. Obviously, Jeff Ulbrich brought in the building to fill that role. Your thoughts on and takeaways from his first interview in Atlanta?
Yeah, so I'll agree with the guys for sure that this was, Terry and Raheem, them picking them, they're putting their job on the line. In my personal opinion, with the team that we built and history we've had, if this team does not win 10 games, both of them are out. Period. Right. Point blank, no excuses. Like we're done with the excuses. But watching it, there was one thing he said that I didn't quite like. They kind of talked about getting after the quarterback, and he said, there's 2 ways to affect the quarterback with the back end and the front end. And they're like, well, is sacks your main priority? He's like, well, I just want to affect the quarterback. And like, for once, I just want the DC to say, no, we want to hit him in the mouth.
Yeah.
We want to hit
like that Dean Pease mentality.
Right. Just show me that you want to be aggressive. Right. So, not a big deal. We've heard that since Mike Smith that, sacks don't matter, whatever. Right. But there was one key thing that he talked about that kind of made me turn and say, you know what, maybe he's not a C, maybe he's a B. And he admitted to a mistake when he was in the Jets. He said, my number one problem is I wasn't honest. The people around me weren't honest, and I took on too much and I didn't delegate enough. Mm-hmm. And in my personal opinion, that's why DQ got fired. He tried to take on the defense, took over head coaching, and think about what he did. He had head coaching, he was DC, and he started missing time on management.
Years.
He was missing management, right? Yep. Arthur Smith comes in. Arthur Smith's the head coach and the OC, and we had the same kind of dysfunctional issues. Mm-hmm. So Ulbrich saying that, and remember, at the end of the season, Raheem took over. Yeah. Started coaching deep, and then we started having these little issues. So to me, it sounds like Raheem brought in somebody he trusted, where he didn't have to, when you bring in a team player, I just hired a new team player on my team. Mm-hmm. I brought in a guy who knew 80% of what we already did, and I just needed to fix that last 20%. Right. So he's like, can I just bring in a guy who can help me be a head coach, take over the DC role, and also maybe do some clock management stuff? So I think that kind of fed into the decision making, and I think Absolutely. I like it better now that I've kind of heard the explanation about what happened with him at the Jets and how he took on too much. And, probably that's part of his problem he had in Atlanta. He was like, man, when I was with the Jets, they threw me the head coaching job and I was DC and I wasn't prepared. And so I think that same kind of thing happened to him and Raheem in the first go. So I think this will be their first real effort. So I'm kind of excited to see what happens. But again, I got to see the execution on the field at the end of the day.
Absolutely. And that's kind of why when it came to the Jimmy Lake firing, I was very heavily on getting rid of Jimmy Lake because of the fact of after the bye week, it comes out nationally media televised now that Raheem Morris has now had a hand in the defense. And that's what your point exactly is. It was my points that I never expressed was the fact that these coaches are taking on way too much when it comes to a guy that's like Arthur Smith. He had the offense, he had the head coaching, the time management issues. Raheem Morris with the time management issues that possibly kept you out of the playoffs this season. Yep. So that's a big factor in the Jeff Ulbrich hire. Rick, I think that's the best breakdown we've had yet on the podcast about the Jeff Ulbrich hire, because now that you say that, I see the two keys that connect. You have a guy that's had the interim head coach role, not once, but twice now in the NFL. You've had time management issues. You've had a guy that in the past has had those also problems. So two reflect against each other and they make one better. So I hope you're exactly right with that breakdown.
And he said one key thing that I've been waiting to hear from an Atlanta coach for my entire life. He said, I messed up. That was the wrong decision.
Yeah.
Just let me hear it one time. That was it. Wrong decision. Cool. All good, brother. Let's move on. But all this deflecting and maybe we could have and looking back, I hate that coach speak. Just tell me you messed up and let's move on.
The Sports Nuts has a question here for the podcast. It says, if Atlanta starts 2-2 or 1-3, do you fire Morris? The Sports Nuts, my thoughts on this. If you start out 2-2, if you're 2-2, I don't think you can fire somebody at 2-2. And the reason why I say this is because if you're at 2-2, let's talk about strength of schedule. Who are we playing in those 4 games? Who are you matching up with? Are these primetime games? Are these playoff teams in the prior year? So at 2-2, I think your job is safe. At 1-3, your seat's getting kind of hot. We'll pass that around the table here real quick. Robert, your thoughts?
Yeah, 2-2. Like I said, it all depends on who the opponents are, and just the execution on the field. If it's looking like they're being competitive, I think he's safe. If we start 1-3 or 0-4, yeah, there's going to be a mutiny as far as the fan base goes, and I think that our Mr. Blank's going to pull the trigger.
Yeah, absolutely. Philip, Cody.
I don't know. I don't really. Even if we start 1-3, like you said, I'm looking at the schedule. Look who we're playing, see how competitive it is. But at the same point, I feel like if you pull the trigger, it's like you're setting. Well,
let's talk about a team that started out 1-3 and is pretty deep off in the playoffs right now. I believe that would be the Philadelphia Eagles. They were either 1-2 or 1-3 at the beginning of the season. Now they're in the Super Bowl.
See,
2-2.
And that's what I'm saying. Like, I just don't really see. I feel like it's just another restart. You're restarting. If you pull that trigger, it's another restart. Yeah. That's what we've had for the last.
Yeah, and you're exactly
years.
right, Philip. That has been a major problem.
It's in today's time, if a coach don't do good in their first 2-3 seasons, it's fire. But if it was a situation like Arthur Smith, where you can't you're not really competing, you're giving the same thing every year, you're not progressing, and that you're not progressing even though you got that same record, that's a problem. This year we've seen progression, and at the end of that we, didn't end how we wanted it, but we still progressed in certain things that we have the last 3 or 4 years. So I'm just looking at certain things like that, but I don't think if you go 0-4, yeah, it's like a concern, but I don't think you pull the trigger though.
The Sports Nuts, your major question is, can the Atlanta Falcons finish over 500? Cody, your thoughts, 1-3, 2-2 situation, hot seat or not?
That's to me, that's too few games. Like, I mean, if you start 2-2, your seat's kind of warming up. 1-3, you're definitely feeling the heat there. But I don't think you could fire them after 4 games. I think you're looking more like 7 or 8. Right. And again, it depends on what you're looking at on the field. If you're getting out there and you're going, well, Bijan isn't looking like Bijan because of the schemes we're running. We're still throwing these stupid, screen passes on 3rd and 12. Your defense is, bottom of the league in sacks. So to me, it's kind of one of those things. It's not only the competition that you're playing in those first few games, but it's what does it look like on the field? Because, we're being told that this hire, with Ulbrich and, Raw and all this is taking a step forward. That this is the right move to go forward. But if you're still looking like you've got a Jimmy Lake defense out there, or if you're looking worse, or even just a tiny bit, I don't want to see a tiny bit better. I need to see, middle of the pack in sacks. I need to see no more of this 28th, 32nd in sacks. I need to see improvement, not just, that's good. Good for you. Instead of having 3 sacks in, 5 games, you have 6.
Agree?
So
we can all agree that Drake London in year 4, you would have thought made the playoffs by now, correct?
Yeah.
And you're not. And that's an issue when you have these players like Drake London, Kyle Pitts, these players coming up on contract years that you drafted as a rookie that at a high pick at number 4 and number 8, like you should be in the playoffs now after 4 to 5 years of continually being in the top 10 pick. Rick, your thoughts on the hot seat situation? 1-2, 1-3. How are we feeling if you're sitting there at 1-3 in week 4 in the NFL with Raheem Morris and Jeff Ulbrich? Are we hot? Or are we going to ride it out till week 8 like Cody spoke on? Or what we doing?
Well, I'm very frustrated because I'm a season ticket owner. So I'm sitting in the Benz with my arms crossed like, what the hell are y'all doing? So I think that's too soon. I'm going to give them at least 8 games. You know, I'm looking at the schedule right now. Obviously, I don't know the exact schedule in the order, but this schedule might be harder than last year.
It's going to be tough.
Fighting. And so, you know, I could see us playing about the same schedule we did this year, where the first 4 or 5 games are pretty tough. So, you know, it kind of just depends on, you know, the Saints might be worse. Tampa might be better. So we kind of just got to see kind of how these teams kind of line out. But I think we need consistency in Atlanta, man. And like, I'm good with sticking with this whole regime through the entire season. I'll be honest with you. I don't even care how it turns out. Like, I just need to see some consistency and then kind of see where it goes from there. But at the end of the day, for me, my satisfaction with a team is based on dysfunction. If I see dysfunction where they're missing timeouts again and they're sloppy on the field and people are making
absolutely
plays,
that's what loses his job.
That's the thing to me where I look at it and like, what are we doing? I'm not watching the other team do this there on Sundays. Like, you know, so as long as I don't see that, I'm pretty good.
Absolutely. The Sports Nuts with a hot take here says Mooney, Moore, Sheesh, and Moore, London, and Pitts, 1K season. Book it. I think for sure London and Mooney. London's already shown he can hit 1K. Mooney was like 6 yards from 1K other than the injury. Moore, I'm excited to see what Moore can do in Atlanta. Hopefully he comes and bounces back from that injury. Training camp has a solid training camp. Would love to see Rondo Moore on this roster. Pitts, if he's still here, that's a stretch. We haven't seen a 1K season since the rookie season. So that would be nice to see. I can't lie. It would be nice to see all 4 at 1K. Would be crazy. Tony, prime time done. Go ahead, Rick.
I was going to say, can you guys every time I saw Rondell Moore when I was excited about him coming into the season, the person that I thought about was Taylor Gabriel.
Absolutely.
If we can have that little explosive slot guy that we can hit.
Turbo.
Turbo is my guy, man. If we could just get that back.
Cody, Phillip, and Robert, and I myself, countless of podcasts in the training camp, speaking on Rondo Moore, how this felt like the 2016 team, how you had the Julio Jones, the Mohamed Sanu, you had a decent tight end, you had Taylor Gabriel, the missing piece that really solidified that season. So Rondo Moore, man, that would be a nice addition. That would be a nice addition. Tony Primetime done us in the chat. What he says, what's up, fellas? Tony, appreciate you tuning in tonight, brother. Hit that like button and subscribe if you haven't already. I'm sure you have because you're here every live, and we appreciate it. Tony's got a question for us here in the chat. He says, is Pitts on the roster next year? Do we trade back from 15? Let's talk about this, and then we'll dive into our draft selections. Do you stay at 15? First question is, just real quick around the table, is Pitts on the roster next year? Give me your 100% honest answer. Yes or no, starting with you, Robert.
No, I don't think so. I think he's I think just the effort that he put forth this year, especially after the second Tampa Bay game, not only have the fans had enough, I think that the staff's had enough. Kyle Pitts is a great player. He really is. What's going on with him, I don't know. You know, the trade talks are, you know, warming up and all that, but honestly, no, I don't think he's here. And when we get into our draft picks, I'm going to explain a little theory on that here in a minute.
Nice. Hey, I like where you're going with that, Robert, because I know that selection you're talking about, and I see what you're doing there with the history in these draft picks. So we're going to get to that very shortly. Phillip, Kyle Pitts on this roster, yes or no? Just a quick yes or no. I know how you feel about this.
I do feel like he stays, but I could also see him going. It's just the thing that I can't. It's just a thing that I can't really see him going. But that's like every player that we've had
until he gets a call from like Shannon Sharp, and it's like I'm out of there.
Yeah, unless like a thing like Matt Ryan, but you can't remember,
Oh man,
that's pretty funny.
it's tough.
I'm still pissed
But,
about that. I'm not gonna lie to you.
Yeah, that's crazy that Julio would do that. That's wild.
Crazy.
Who? Oh, my fault.
Oh,
God.
man, hold on a second. Hold on a second. I'll go ahead. I got something for you. Hold on.
But you know what I'm saying though. Man, I don't know. It's hard.
It's a tough situation with Kyle
because
Pitts.
we could really take a 3rd round pick for this and gain something back that we lost.
Right.
So I'm down with it, but
It's the
we'll
trade
have to
value
see.
for me. It's a trade value for me with the Kyle Pitts situation because you're not getting back nearly anything that you spent on the guy like you did with Kyle Pitts. Cody, I know how you feel, brother. We talked about it all season. We talked about the ups. Julio. Love it.
Oh god.
But Cody, we talked about it all off season and regular season. This just started off with, we talked about how this year was make it or break it for Kyle Pitts, and that it would show in his play if he wanted to be in Atlanta. And the year started off kind of strong for Kyle Pitts. It started off okay. He was making that continuously 500 to 600 yards that he did every year at a steady pace in midseason form. But Cody, after the Bucs game, as Robert stated earlier, it just went downhill from there. Does Kyle Pitts stay on this roster or does he go?
No, bye. Have fun in Cincinnati, you fucking bum.
3rd round pick to Atlanta for Kyle Pitts for Cody. Rick, your thoughts? Kyle
Oh
Pitts.
god, said have fun in Cincinnati.
Probably he's going to stay on the team. I hope they trade him because we need picks really badly. But they picked up his 5th-year option, so I think they're going to give him another chance with him. So.
Yeah.
One more year. Cody somehow hacked the screen and decided to put this on the. On the did that,
Yeah.
Kyle Pitts, man, dude, I don't even like talking about the situation, Tony. I'm a big Kyle Pitts supporter, always have been. Love the guy, love what he did in college against my college team. He absolutely slaughtered Georgia until he was injured. Kyle Pitts, I'm gonna lean towards what Rick and Phillip said. Maybe one more year, but when it comes to this trade capital, and you only have 4 picks,
It can happen.
Needs a tight end. Teams may call for Kyle Pitts, and it's a scenario that could happen either way. So, Tony, right now, I think we're at a 50-50 with what our situation is with Kyle Pitts. We don't quite know. But the next question is, do we trade back from 15? Well, we have some picks for you if we stay at 15. But Robert and the cast here on podcast, do the Falcons trade back from 15 to grab some draft capital? Say they don't make a trade in the offseason and they try to grab another 3rd round pick or 2nd round pick. Do they trade back in this draft?
It would make sense to. I mean, because, like I said on our last podcast, I mean, we need players, we need bodies on the field. And, the draft capital would be very important because we're going to be bringing these guys in on these rookie contracts, and the whole Kirk Cousins contract, the dead cap hit is going to be pretty brutal.
Tremendous.
So, anything that we can do to increase our draft capital, get some.
That's another topic,
players.
Do the Falcons cut Kirk Cousins to make that little bit of savings in that cap, because they owe a bonus here very soon if they don't make that cut? So you're very right. That cap space alone is going to hurt tremendously when it comes to offseason free agency and draft picks, if whether you stay at 15 or trade back.
Yeah,
so I agree. I 100% agree. Phillip, do you stay at 15 or do you trade back?
I feel like this is a draft where we have the opportunity to get the players that we actually 100% need. So, to me, in my opinion, I'd stay where we're at 15. We have there's plenty of players. That's but then again, you could possibly trade back, like
One
Robert
thing
said,
we
to
do
get
know.
draft capital.
One thing we do know from the past draft nights here on DFU, the past mock drafts, anything can happen on draft night.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't matter if a guy was ranked top 10, he could go in the 2nd round, pick 52. It doesn't matter. So
It doesn't matter if he's a tight end, he can go number 4 overall.
If you sit at 15 and a guy like, I don't know, like a top sack leader, a buddy from Georgia, number 11 or number 13 falls to 15, maybe that's your selection, but who knows what the Falcons will do there. Cody, Rick, do the Falcons stay at 15 or do they trade back?
I think the Falcons probably stay put. I would say that's it's kind of the thing that's kind of interesting to me is, we might get hit with, the hell cap space with Kirk Cousins. So you got to pay these guys, and, you have to pay your draft class, and the more picks you have, the more money you got to dish out. And if you don't got the money to pay, you can't pick up these players. So I don't think Atlanta moves back. I think they sit pat. They get the guy that we need and not the guy, I really hope they don't do best player available. I hate that mentality. Just go get your fucking needs.
Rick, your thoughts on that? Cody, I agree with you. Don't do BPA. You need sacks. Go with the defense. Rick,
when's the last time we didn't do BPA?
I know. It's and you're absolutely right. That's why when we get to these selections, Robert's pick makes even more sense to me, but we'll get to that into a minute. But Rick, 15, do you stay or do you slide back?
I think we need to stay. First reason is I don't think we're going to have the money to sign 7 draft picks. Right. Second reason is we need a game record. So I need a number 1 DE, number 1 linebacker, number 1 corner off the board. Like, I don't think we can drop back and get these second and third tier. We have tons of second and third tier players already on our team. We need that number 1 guy. So hopefully we stay back and we take the best player to the position of need, whatever that means.
The Sports Nuts in the comment says, do y'all agree to bring in Hunter Renfrow? He's a great slot player. My only issue with this is if you stick with Rondale Moore in this offseason training camp, I don't think you need another slot. I think when you have Mooney, Drake London, a healthy Rondale Moore, a healthy Kyle Pitts, or whoever that may be in that position, I think you're pretty solid when it comes to weapons in Atlanta. Well, as far as a Bijan and a Tyler Algier, that you can also get active in this passing game. So I don't see a need for Hunter Renfrow if you hold on to Rondale Moore, but not a bad addition.
And Ray Ray made some plays, man.
Raven McLeod.
Ray made a statement. The fact that he's more than just a kick returner. He wanted to be a receiver, and
they trusted him on third down a lot.
Yeah, they did. Kirk Cousins had a nice connection with Ray McLeod, as well as he did Darnell Mooney. That was his go-to guy there. It seemed like every third down he was looking for Mooney. The Sports Nut says, I would trade with Washington or do something to get Zach Ertz. That would be a nice addition. That would be that would be a crazy addition.
The thing that fans always forget about trades is the other team has to be willing to trade.
Yep.
That is true. Yes.
Absolutely.
I love
Tony
Tom Brady.
Primetime.
Here we are.
So I see Pitts traded to San Diego for Bosa Haha or Pittsburgh for a second or third, possibly Cincinnati. I've seen the trade rumors with Cincinnati. The most value I've seen for Kyle Pitts, though, in trade scenarios is a third-round pick. I've not seen anything higher. I've not seen anything of higher value for Kyle Pitts. Prime time.
If you got 4 years out of Kyle Pitts and a third-round pick, I might be okay with that.
And that may be what you have to settle for when it comes to Kyle Pitts. If you're gonna give him another year, if you're gonna let him walk or let him test other teams, trade, whatever it may be, I don't think you're getting much more than a third just from the production that you've received from Kyle Pitts. But this topic here says Cousins on the team or is he traded? We'll save that for another podcast. We're at a 30-minute mark and we
get him out of here. I'm just playing.
We have a lot to go over. But Tony, we will chat about that before it gets closer to that bonus deadline. Philip, Robert, Rick, Cody, let's start it off with our draft board here for DFU. We'll start with 10 players. It'll be a 10-player board list. As the offseason continues, we'll obviously knock some players off of that board and maybe number it down to 3 to 5 players on that list. And we'll see what happens here on draft night. But to start it off from the top, Robert, who do you got for me and why?
My first choice is James Pierce Jr., edge rusher from Tennessee. The kid's got a high motor. He comes from a winning program. His stats really aren't eye-popping. He had 7.5 sacks, and I think he had like 43 solo tackles. Mm-hmm. But, it does fill the need. I'm sure there's other players that I think that we'd rather have, especially, if they're coming from the University of Georgia. But I think this will be a solid pick for us. My next choice is not going to be very popular.
Uh-oh.
But we all know that Terry loves to spend his first-round picks on offensive players. So with that being said,
technically, he can play both.
Yeah, he can play both. But as far as an offensive weapon goes, my second choice is Travis Henry from Colorado. Heisman
Shit.
Trophy winner. He would be a huge weapon for Penix if Pitts does walk or get traded.
Mhm.
The downside to this would be the wide receiver room is very crowded. We could be getting Rondale Moore back. Darnell and Ray have proven their worth. But at the same time, if we're going to be run heavy, I mean, do we really need this, 6'6" tight end running over the middle and catching deep passes? I think we could probably, I think we'd benefit more from a blocking tight end. And also on the downside with Pierce, coming into the pros, you don't know exactly, how he's going to adapt to a certain scheme in the pros. And of course, there's always the risk of injury. But, I think Pierce would be a solid pick for us. I think Hunter would be too.
Absolutely. And that's where, when it comes to these draft scenarios, like DFU's not saying that Travis Hunter is going to sit there at 15. But this is a scenario to where if Travis Hunter is at 15, if you go BPA, that's your selection, and that's by far the best player available if he's at 15. Robert, that's some solid picks there. Appreciate you coming through with those too, because this is a pick that I really like. This guy here, just watching him throughout his college career, what he did, his explosiveness, the need to get to the quarterback with that cat there is explosive, and I think that could be a draft pick at number 15. If you sit there, that could be a solid selection there for the Atlanta Falcons. Philip, take it away. Who are we talking about first here on the podcast? Who are your two selections?
All right. Well, starting off, I'm gonna get cornerback Will Johnson from Michigan. My guy, he's versatile to play left or right side of the field. Doesn't matter which side. I like that. He has a change of direction, which is better on smaller corners, or as a smaller corner, but it doesn't matter. You know what I mean? It contains the run, exactly what we need. Sometimes because some guys can't tackle. D. Alford, can play confidently in the slot in certain situations like that, and is smooth with passing off receiver, like pick up receivers. Off playing in zone. He's very smooth with that. So I'm really high on the guy, Will Johnson. We was talking about him. Me and Dad was talking about it. Matter of fact, maybe this weekend. High on him. Next guy I got is Jack Sawyer, edge from Ohio State. What I like about him is his timing, his strength, and stack. He's fast. His eyes are great. He's got a strong upper body. You know what I'm saying? Like, he's stacked on maneuvering and stuff. What I like about him, it doesn't matter what stance he sits in, 2 or 3. He's consistent on front foot. It doesn't matter. And what I like about him, he's very versatile, whether it's pass game or rush. That's what I like about it. It's like a flex. He can do both. And in my opinion, that is a great pick, because I think we need a little bit of both. Because this past year we was bullied on the run game, where we and we need something. I need a guy that is aggressive like this to join on this defense with what Raheem and Ulrich is trying to bring to Atlanta. This is exactly what brings attitude to Atlanta.
I think either one of those guys, Philip, are day one starters in Atlanta. Both those guys at 15 would be solid picks. So, yeah, 2 more guys added to our top 10 list here. We got 4 players. Travis Hunter. Name you guys real quick, Robert. Travis Hunter.
And James Pierce.
Travis Hunter, James Pierce. Philip had Will who? Forget these names, man.
Will Johnson.
Names. Will Johnson. And name your last guy?
Jack Sawyer.
Jack Sawyer in Atlanta. So that's 4 picks there. Cody, heading over to you. Cody's got some nice picks here, too, for the chat. Started off from the top, Cody. Who you got?
Yes, sir. So, obviously, my first pick is going to be Jack Kreischer from Notre Dame. Look, obviously, Caden Ellis was the strongest point in our defense. Caden Ellis needs help. This kid can bring that help that Caden Ellis could use, because let's face it, our linebacking core has been soft, has been hurt, and really Caden Ellis was your guy. But listen to this, throughout the 24 season, leading the team with 75 tackles, 47 solo tackles, including 2 sacks and 2 forced fumbles. Whether it's making tackles for loss or disrupting opponents' quarterbacks, which Ulbrich just said he was looking for somebody who could affect the quarterback, this kid can do it. So I definitely think that this guy has a great game, not only when it comes to disrupting pass, he also has a great game in stopping the run, which is something that you have to do, especially once we get into these deeper playoff push. If the Falcons want to be a playoff team, you have to stop the run. Look at what Washington could not do yesterday against what Washington could not do against Saquon Barkley, and that was stop the run. You have to have guys stopping the run. So I think if you put this guy on the field next to Caden Ellis, not only does that help Caden Ellis with responsibilities, that frees Caden Ellis to do the things that he does best. Put him on the edge, because then guess what? Now you've got Caden Ellis who can edge rush too. He's got that great bend. He's got all that great stuff. So this is a piece that I think not only helps you on your defensive side in that linebacking core, it helps Caden Ellis take another step. And we already know what a monster 55 was.
Yes, sir.
The next guy I've got is Mike Green from Marshall. Mike Green he's got great size for the NFL. He's got those long arms, which is great for the NFL length. He's well balanced. You don't see him on the ground. You don't see him come off his feet. You don't see him on his back, which is great. The other thing that this guy brings is he's got an explosive first step, which is always what you want out of your edge rushers. You want those guys that bam, the ball's hiked, boom. He's on, he's already, 2-3 steps in somebody else's backfield. He does bring great balance, and he's got a great, he's really good at shooting those gaps too. So again, it comes down to, you're going to make these long deep playoff runs. You've got to stop the run game. You have to stop the run game. As much as the NFL wants to claim that it's, passing league first, when it gets into, late January or early January, February, when you're getting into the Super Bowl, moving on deep into December, those run games, man, if you could stop them, you've got a chance. So those are my guys there.
Absolutely. Good. If you can tear down a defense by running, teams will do it in and out, because you've seen it. As you just stated with Saquon Barkley, first play from snap, touchdown
60 yards
from the guy at 26 himself. So definitely Mike Green from Marshall is a guy on my top 5 board, Cody. That is a very solid pick. Mike Green. Rick, heading over to you. Before we do that, let's head to the chat real quick. We got some comments here. Says DSGB Hall says, we might not go edge because we still don't know what we have in the rookie that got hurt last season, and we got a small glimpse of Malone. That's a possibility as well, but do you want to take the chance? Do you want to have that chance, or do you want to solidify that for a defense that is with a first-year DC in Atlanta? I think you want to make sure that you don't want no question mark on the worst aspect of your team, and that's pass rush for these Atlanta Falcons. DSGB Hall says, we can't go wrong at corner, edge, or linebacker. Either 3 positions, I think you are solidifying a better defense in Atlanta. The Sports Nut says, a move and trade Grady? Could Grady be traded?
No,
I hope not.
Absolutely not.
Might be Falcon for life, if I'm honest.
Yeah, I think that's the one that we can say possibly will be a Falcon for life. Tony says, I see Terry taking Penn State tight end Tyler Warren, who plays all over, even fullback. Will Abdul Carter, defensive end, be at 15? They say the kid from Tennessee will be a top 10. Who knows what could happen with this draft, man? That's what we were just saying. Like, there's so many slips of what could happen. Teams trading up to grab their quarterbacks. So there may be a quarterback run, and then teams are trading in to grab that quarterback that they're afraid is going to be selected. So there's no telling what could happen draft night. And that Will Abdul Carter, that's a very solid pick if he's at 15. Like, that is a steal at 15. That is a very solid pick. Rick, give me your 2 selections here for this top 10 billboard for DFU's draft.
Yeah, it's tough to see who we're going to pick and where it's going to fall, because when I'm looking at the draft order, there's at least 4 to 5 teams that need a quarterback in the top 10, and I don't really see 4 to 5 quarterbacks being available as far as first-round picks. So,
right.
And then when I look at edge, there's 3 to 4 or 5 teams that need an edge. So to me, it looks like we're going to get a second or third tier player, just depending on how it falls. But my first guy is a guy that probably every Georgia dog on the planet wants, is Jalen Walker. It kind of goes with the same thing that Cody was saying. When I looked at our team, our defensive line needed issues, our secondary had issues, but I felt like our linebackers had bigger problems. And he had 10.5 sacks or 10.5 tackles for loss and led the team with 6.5 sacks. 7 quarterback hits, 2 fumble recoveries, so he's disruptive. Mm-hmm. And I think in high school he's a 3-sport athlete. He's a track athlete, played basketball. So I could see maybe Troy Anderson, athleticism, the speed. We need somebody who can cover running backs out of the back. I think we got ate up by that last year. And having a leader, he played all 3 years. He played in 2 national titles and then played in the Notre Dame game in his career. So I think he's a big time player. He's disruptive. So I'd like to see him on our team.
Absolutely.
The next guy I got is Benjamin Morrison, who he's probably going to be available at 15 because he got injured this year around the 5th or 6th game. He was a freshman All-American his rookie year with 6 interceptions, had a pick 6 for 97 yards. His second year, he balled out too, was very disruptive and pass breakups, things like that. Was a semifinalist Thurp Award winner. So, but with his injury history, I think from looking at the draft and past histories, injury players tend to fall to the 2nd round or into the 1st round. So we may not take him at 15. We may jump up in the 2nd round or something, just depending on our picks. But I think he'd be a great player, just looking at how the draft is going to fall in the first 15 picks. So.
Absolutely. Getting beat in the backfield by running backs was definitely a continuous trend all season for the Falcons defense. And another guy that if he's at 15, this is a big if he's at 15, Michael Williams, you cannot pass up on number 13. If he is at 15, you have got to select this guy. Being one of the most dominant pass rushers for the Georgia Bulldogs defense the past 3 years, holding in at 5 sacks a season. Actually, right at 4.5 sacks a season. His most sacks this past year in 2024 was 5 sacks, 6 total assists, 15 solos, and tackles for loss 21. So Michael Williams, a guy that's very, very disruptive when it comes to pass rush, also a guy that's explosive when it comes to running game. There's very rarely a snap on his highlight video that you do not see Williams in the backfield. I think if he is at 15, what a selection that could be for the Atlanta Falcons.
Arthur Blank runs up and picks him if he's available.
Oh, dude, that is a selection to make right there. Another selection here that you can see the Atlanta Falcons make is Shamar Stewart from Texas A&M, a dominant run stuffer when it comes to the run game. We talk about a guy with an explosive motor, a guy that's got that get off when it comes to the ball being snapped. Shamar Stewart is the guy that you have got to consider if you're looking for a guy to stop the run game. Now, when it comes to the passing game, this is my issue with Shamar. He's not very big in sacks. His sack total all throughout his college career has not been very big. With that being said, though, he was a very highly recruited defensive lineman coming out of high school. He was a top 5 prospect. He was actually top 3 in the nation. He once was selected, for Texas A&M, rode with those guys. Very, very dominant force off the edge. When they slide him to the inside, he's a mismatch. He has too much athleticism. One of his minor disgrades, I would say, about Shamar Stewart is his handwork. His handwork could definitely be upgraded. He has a lot of issues with wanting to bull rush when it comes to the NFL. You're not going to do much bull rushing because those guys are just a little bit bigger than those college athletes that you're facing. So definitely a guy that could be a hit or miss here. Shamar Stewart, he could be a really, very high versatile player, or he could be another Vic Beasley here for years to come in Atlanta. Who knows what could happen? Not saying he's selected at 15. He could slide into the 2nd round, but if he's in the 2nd round, he is definitely a steal for day 2 pick. Shamar Stewart and Michael Williams is my 2 guys for that top 10 billboard. Falcon fans, hit that like button, leave a comment, and subscribe if you haven't already. If you're new to the channel and you have subscribed, man, please do not miss out on our free giveaway. My guy Cody is hooking the channel up with the chance to win a pair of Apple AirPod Pros, courtesy of my guy Cody. He doesn't have to do this. This is his own personal brand new pair of Apple AirPods, and he's doing it here for the channel. So if you're subscribed or you're new to the channel and you just subscribed, please leave a comment with your name so I can enter you to the list. We got a list of about 10 to 15 people, Cody. So whenever you get ready to do that giveaway, brother, just let me know a date. And we
after Super Bowl?
We can do it after Super Bowl.
Yeah.
So get in here, man. Get people in the chat. Get them to subscribe because there's a free pair of Apple AirPod Pros sitting here waiting to be given away. We got some comments here in the comment section. Josh Gilman with the chat says, is Johnny Smith a free agent? I'm not against this move. I don't think he ever should have been let go. Johnny Smith was a solid piece in Atlanta. Even what he did in Miami this year was
brother. I was there during the Vikings game, the Minnesota game, where he took, I think it was like 98 yards or something, 87 or something like that. I don't remember, but
John Smith.
I'm all
if
for,
he's a free
I'm
agent,
for it.
why not? Anybody else got input on John Smith, his time in Atlanta? Your guys' thoughts?
Trade Kyle Pitts for him.
Yep.
Shit. This would be crazy if
Playmaker.
Max Crosby. Yeah, he's
John
definitely.
reminds me of my guy CP. You give him the ball, he makes plays. Period.
Yep. Absolutely. This would be crazy, Tony, if this happened. Max Crosby in Atlanta, what do you have to trade to make that happen? That's the question. What are you giving away for Max Crosby? I think that takes away even more draft capital.
State Farm Arena.
Yeah,
There you
the whole arena.
That's the only way.
Trade Pitts for some hot funny and shit. At least you chose the best type of funny. Hot funny is the best. The Sports Nut says, bad part, y'all. The 2025 draft isn't really big on defense, but 2026 is all defense and QBs. That's where you have to hit or miss, where it's like you have to key in on who you have selecting these players. You have to have a good scouting crew. You have to have a good GM that knows how to draft gems in the later rounds. And I think what we can say from the past 4 to 5 years with Terry, the second round has been his strongest round. And I don't know why that is, but the second round is definitely his strongest round. So let's hope we can find a gem in both of these early rounds because you're going to need it when it comes to a low draft capital. Even the fact of finagling with Kirk Cousins to lose a draft pick is crazy to me. DSGB Hall in the chat says, I like 11 from Georgia. Absolutely. If he's there, you got to grab him.
I'm good with anybody that is defense right here.
Yep.
Yeah,
it does not matter. Just make sure it is a really good pick, which normally at the 15 spot in that range, you're definitely got people that's there. That's going to be good. So I'm going to be happy if it's defense. But Raheem was at Penn State's, bowl game that night. So, we're going to falcon it up and go down tight end here probably. So
shit, not the falcon it up. Real quick, I want to give a shout out to all the new subscribers tonight. We have gained 6 new subscribers on the live podcast tonight, Falcon fans. Appreciate everybody that came through with the subscribes. Leave a comment and please let me know who you are so we can enter you for the chance to raffle. For some reason, YouTube does not let me know everybody that subscribes, and it doesn't give me a username. So please comment that you have subscribed and you're new here to the channel so we can enter you for the chance to win. With that being said, man, let's open this thing up with our shout outs for tonight's show. Robert, take it away, brother.
Well, shout out to God in heaven. Without him, nothing's possible, and he's blessed us with another day. Shout out to you guys for letting me be a part of the best podcast in the world. Shout out to our new subscribers. Shout out to our viewers. Without you guys, it's not possible. You're the reason we do this. And as always, shout out to my family, Brianna, Peyton, Zach, and Christy. I love you all. Rise up.
I don't know about y'all guys, but every time I see that subscriber number rise, man, I feel rich. Like I feel like I just get some money in my pocket. Man, y'all keep hitting that subscribe button, man. Y'all making dreams come true here for DFU. Philip, shout outs for tonight, brother.
Shout out to God himself. We are here definitely another day. Blessed to be here. Just shout out to the off season, man. It's gonna be a fun little off season. I feel like this year. Shout out to Olbers, man. Welcome back to Atlanta. People wasn't happy about it, but I'm gonna be supportive. I'm gonna be optimistic and happy for anybody that's getting their job back in Atlanta or just a job in general in Atlanta. Unless you're Jimmy Lake, you bum.
Kyle Pitts.
Smith.
Oh, fuck him too. Shout out you boys for being here. Shout out to the 6 new subscribers. Thank y'all, man. I hope y'all enjoy our content that we,
absolutely.
Or for me in general, I try to bring you. I know that all these guys put out good points. Sometimes I feel like I just don't. I'm just here sometimes, but
no
it is
point.
what it is.
No point is not a good point on DFU.
But we here, so that's all it is, We do the fun things. Shout out to the fun things on the show, like being a weatherman when it snows or just trolling other teams. Can't wait to get back doing that. But as always, baby, rise up.
Rise up, Mr. Cody. I haven't been able to read your name tonight. It's been my screen's kind of small. Bijan Mania Keeler is here tonight. Give me a shout out for tonight, brother.
Well, I don't know if we got a trigger warning for my shout outs because we need a big sign that says warning Bijan ass kissing incoming. Because you know what, my first shout out tonight is Bijan motherfucking Robinson on his way to the Pro Bowl.
Yes, sir. We forgot to mention that.
Which was much
did.
deserved. He should have never had to wait for Saquon or somebody else to drop out, fall out. He should have been the absolute number 1, number 2 running back in the NFC to be. He deserves this. He's earned it. He's worked his ass off for it. Bijan is a superstar. I will never stop giving this kid the props that he deserves because he is somebody. That's right. That's our ass to kiss, and I will kiss it all day. So if that upsets you, that offends you, if we're kissing his ass too much, tough shit. You can tell that to his Pro Bowl selection. You can tell that to his future Super Bowl championship ring. You can tell that to his future someday MVP. You just watch. Let's say so. Shout out to Bijan. I'm glad you're getting to go, buddy. Go with your teammates. Represent Atlanta. Represent this fan base, and just go do your thing. Let people see you be Bijan because that's something incredible. So shout out to Bijan. Shout out to you guys coming on talking Dirty Bird football. This is the best part of my week is coming on and talking about something that I love, that I have passion for, and it's great to come and do it with other diehard Falcon fans. It's so nice to talk to other Falcon fans that know what they're talking about and have a deeper understanding, and you can get more in depth, and it's not like, oh, well, we just sucked this year, or, oh, well, whatever. And it's just like there's open depth conversation, and it's good conversation, and it's just good to have. So this is, definitely one of the best points in my week is getting to hang out with you guys, talk Dirty Bird football. So shout out to y'all. Shout out to everybody that keeps watching, liking, subscribing, sharing, doing all that stuff. We're on that road to 1,000. And like you said, Chase, every time I'll check YouTube, once every other day just to see if we've got anything new. So, I take a lot of pride in this. I love doing this with y'all. I can't wait till this is the number 1 Falcon podcast, not just locally here, but hopefully, when, you got Falcon fans in California, Japan, Germany, wherever that they want their Falcon information.
Shout out to the viewers in Germany.
Yeah,
Cody.
Absolutely.
There's a couple from the Germany group that do watch the podcast. Shout out to those guys.
Shout out to those guys. But shout out to the new subscriber. Welcome to DFU. We're gonna bring you Falcon content constantly, even through the off season. I've said it before. If we've got to talk about Bijan's golf game or we got whatever we're doing, we're bringing you Falcon content. So shout out to y'all. But boys, rise up. Always rise up.
Rise up, Cody. Mr. Rick, shout outs for tonight, brother.
First shout out got to be to you guys because I came on as a guest and then got invited to stay on, which was awesome. I read that. And I was like, oh shit, hell yeah, I can't wait, man.
Yes,
so I've been looking forward to this for a long time, looking for a good group of people that want to be diehard Falcons and talk Falcons. So, having this opportunity every Monday night or whenever we do it just lights me up because I'm super excited, super passionate about it. Shout out to Bijan Robinson because his little insight. My family name is Robinson, so it kind of a little dear to my heart when I wear that jersey. Got my family name on the back of it. Shout out to everybody in the chat. This is my second time on the show, and the chat was pretty live today with the input and feedback, and that makes the show 10 times better. And then I'll say my last shout out to my Latina girlfriend who called me in the middle of the show. I had to decline her call. Sent her a message, hey, babe, I'm on a podcast. She's like, all good. I love you. Call me later. So shout out girlfriend to know still and give you a break when you need it sometimes.
Rick, I know exactly how it is with the Latinas because the Latina wife is in the other room and she's about ready for me to get off the podcast. So as always, man, shout out to all the co-hosts here at the DFU. Without you guys, this show does not continue, man. For real, I appreciate all you guys for what you do for the channel. Bringing whether it's Philip making edits, whether it's Robert bringing posts to the group chat, Cody, Rick, whoever it may be, bringing up topics, just continues bringing support to the channel, man. I appreciate y'all. Once again, shout out to the chat, man. The chat keeps this thing rolling. The Sports Nuts, Josh Gilman, Tony Primetime Dunn, DSGB Hall, Mama in the chat, all these people in the chat, Preston Sapp, Destin Cravey, the wife in the chat, all these people in the chat, man. Thank you for just being here. Thank you for liking the podcast, for leaving interactions. You guys don't understand, just a simple like pushes this algorithm out to so many more Falcon fans. Just leave a like, a comment, a short little comment of who you are, your views on the Falcons, and we're sure to comment back to you. Once again, rise up to the Atlanta Falcons, man. We got to get it right this offseason. It starts now. You got your DC in Atlanta. You got the guy you wanted to hold the reins to what happens on the defense side of the ball. It starts with free agency and it starts with a draft. If I would say it starts with free agency, it starts with Drew Dolman. Bring back that solid piece and let's get rolling for the defense side of the ball. Falcon fans, thank you for being here tonight. Thank you to the 6 subscribers tonight, man. That's probably the most subscribers in one show. That was pretty dope to get 6 new subscribers tonight. Shout out to you guys for doing that. Once again, it's your boys from DFU, man. As always, A-Town down, rise up. Appreciate y'all. Much love. We out.